Want to call to order the Board of Education meeting for Tuesday, August the 15th. Nancy, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Beavers?
Here.
Dr. Corley?
Here.
Mrs. Dorr? Here. Mr. Green?
Here.
Mrs. James? Here. Mrs. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Rungy?
Here. All right, it's time for the Pledge of Allegiance, and because we are going to discuss the bids for Mrs. White's classroom, will you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, need to have an approval of the agenda. Is there any additions,
changes, sir.
corrections?
No
None?
changes, sir. None.
Need a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, need to approve the consent agenda, which includes District 186 regular board meetings dated July the 18th, 2017. District 186 special board meeting minutes dated July 31st, 2017. Tri-County regular meeting minutes dated July the 18th, 2017. Tri-County budget hearing minutes dated July 18th, 2017. Tri-County bills for July 2017.
Actually, August. It's my fault.
It should state August.
Yes.
Which one?
Tri-County bills, August. Sorry, that's my fault.
Tri-County bills for August 2017. Applications, reports, Tri-County fiscal year 2018 budget. Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Communication.
You want to do bills?
Oh, it would help, wouldn't it? I'm just trying to move right along here.
that's okay.
We need to approve the District 186 bills for August of 2017. Is there any questions from the board from Mrs. Bush?
I have a question on the second line. NWEA. That is,
That's the map assessment,
okay.
the new benchmarking tool.
District wide and training also is included in that, the assessment and training.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'm sorry.
Go
I had
ahead.
a question. It looks like we've done, I see, just like typical summer improvements to facilities, but then all I see is bleachers, gym doors, partitions. That's the,
Bathrooms.
That's
New- oh, that's
installation,
right,
is
bathroom.
that, specialized services,
okay.
the vendor?
What do we do to the bleachers?
The walk boards, replace some of the walk boards that were bad on the, visitor bleachers. So it's a labor on those, and
And then there's caps on the seats.
we will be doing caps.
Oh, we haven't done those yet, so.
Okay.
I have a question on the internet too. It looks like there's MediaCom and Frontier. So we do both?
Yeah. Yeah, we're a tiered data service, so we have the redundancy. We've got MediaCom, Frontier, and I think we've added, another one. I could have Steve.
Yeah, there's another one on here too.
Yeah.
I talked to Steve a while ago about that, wondering why we had three. There was a reason. There's one,
So one goes down.
that he uses, there's one, and it was just the service, the deal he got at the time, kind of thing. So that's why there are different ones for different buildings.
Okay.
And those are Title I expenditures.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh, that was the other question I had. We had to pay OSPA $7,000? Office of, over at SIU, I assume that's what it was, the sponsored projects?
No, it is, that's the early childhood grant, so that's just a flow
That
through
wasn't
on it.
expenditure, that was just the money coming in then?
Right.
Okay.
No, we, every dollar that we get in from the state board for the early childhood
Right.
grant, we turn around and pay SIU.
Okay.
the exact amount, so it's just flow through.
Okay.
That grant has to be written by a school district, can't be written by SIU, so Murphysboro has been writing that grant in conjunction with SIU, early childhood program for 25, probably years. Yeah, we don't keep anything.
Any other questions from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the District 186 bills.
So moved.
And a second? Second. Nancy?
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Dr. Corley?
Yes.
Mrs. Dorr?
Yes.
Mrs. James?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yeah.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes. Now let's move into communications.
Dear Mr. Hubert, Mr. Grody, and Board of Education, I am writing this letter to inform you that I am resigning from my position of student advocate at Carruthers Elementary School. My last day will be September 1st. My wife and I have been called to Marion First Baptist Church as youth pastor and leading young people in their personal walk with Jesus. In 2012, my dream came true to work in a school district. I never dreamt it would be in Murphysboro. There is no way I can put in words of how I was treated the last 5 years. From my first day at General John A. Logan in 2012, I have never felt that I have to go to work today when I woke up each morning. I have been part of several work families before. However, the family I have within CUSD 186 is incomparable. Working for a school district, a person truly has a great opportunity to not change the world, but to make it a better place, one kid at a time. I was welcomed in by not only my work family, but the people of Murphysboro. On a daily basis, I would have parents calling me or in my office expressing their concerns and frustrations, and we, as a working body, move towards the best possible outcome for their students. I understand the timing of this transition is not ideal for the district. If there's anything I could do to help with a smoother transition, I will do so. Please accept this letter of resignation, and I wish the best to the Board of Education and all CUSD 186 staff this 2017-18 school year. Sincerely, Madison Presswood.
Sadly, the recommendation is to accept Mr. Presswood's resignation. That's for the student advocate and from his coaching duties as well, so.
It's a bittersweet
And
loss.
sadly, I will entertain a motion. It's a good man.
Yeah. I don't want it. I'm not making a motion.
I'll make a motion. That's amazing.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We wish him the best. He is a good man.
Amazing.
Any others?
I have, this is not an action communication, but in conjunction with what Madison had written to all of you, he had also informed Mr. Keener and Kim Grammer and Mike Lane of his impending resignation. And at the same time, he wrote a short little note in his email, and I thought it was nice to read. And he said, "Good afternoon. I cannot express how grateful I am having worked with you guys as a coach. You have all done more than I deserved when it comes to extra help. I honestly cannot thank you guys enough for the last few years of your help." And it's from Madison again.
Is that all?
Yes.
Thank you. Since we have a fishbowl here, I'm going to assume we have some fishbowl items. Mrs. James, would you like to start?
Board of Education, this is from Mr. Grody. Monday, I addressed the faculty and staff at our yearly back-to-school breakfast. During this address, I thanked the faculty and staff for going above and beyond in their duties to our students. Specifically, I thanked Matisha Green, Lisa Shields, Caitlin Langelier, Ruth Addig, and Julie Whitborn-Sikorsky. Oh, I knew I'd mess up her name. For their involvement regarding the upcoming eclipse. I also noted that Troy Griswold and Tracy Londaway have been hosting Telescope Tuesdays at Carruthers, where they set up a telescope which was purchased for them by the foundation, allowing community members, students, and parents time to explore the stars. Our teachers spend much time outside the workday for our students and community, and I feel it should be noted. I asked for faculty and staff to stand if they are involved in the NOISE grant, the RAMPed grant, the new ELA cohort, the new math cohort, graduate classes, or are presented at conferences. Well over half the audience was standing, some with involvement in multiple areas. Much work goes into the summer months preparing for the following school year. I wanted to share these facts with the board so you are aware of the level of involvement of our teachers and the educational community of Southern Illinois. Sincerely, Christopher Grote.
Thank you. Any others?
Here's one. Mr. Grody really backed me on an issue involving homeless students and a dispute with another district. I truly appreciate him trusting me, listening to me, and supporting me. I can promise you that not all school social workers have that level of confidence from their superintendent. And for the record, we were totally in the right. Andrea, guys.
Good. Go ahead.
Dear Murphysboro CUSD 186 members of the Board of Education, we are writing to recognize the efforts of the district administration and staff responsible for the grounds on the campus of the high school. We have heard in several past board meetings the concerns and disappointment over the condition of the grounds and facilities. Without question, the condition of the MHS campus, grounds, and school interior reflect the results that can only come with commitment and hard work this past summer. We apologize in advance if we left anyone out, but thank you to Mr. Grody and Jan Bush for making the commitment to make the improvements and upgrades. Thank you to Mr. Carrington and Mr. Haldeman for the ongoing task of keeping us informed of the latest advances in technology so that we might be able to serve our students and community. And a special thank you to Mr. Darren Ripley, who has taken on more responsibility this summer than ever before and has worn more hats than anyone else in the district. To the group that usually gets the blame and rarely gets any of the credit, a very big thank you to John Keller and his staff. On the outside, Kenny Light, Kevin Rogers, and Larry McDaniels. The inside of the building looks great, and we all appreciate how hard these guys have worked. The outside guys consist of Kyle Tuttle, Andrew Wilson, and Jake Thompson. The campus looks as good as it has ever looked in the last decade. Many improvements to the building, other facilities, campus, and grounds are evident of the hours of hard work. We want you all to know how much we appreciate the dedication you have displayed, and it makes us proud to work at Murphysboro High School. Sincerely, the MHS administration, faculty, and staff.
I will add, I was at the high school immediately before coming here, I don't know, there's John, and I thought the grass looked probably as good as my yard does. I mean, Jerry takes care of our yard, but I thought it looks good. I mean, you could tell they took their time. I mean, I wish that kickoff football game was this weekend so it would all look that great for the big day, but anyway, it looks nice. It looks nice, at least out of the high school. So thank you.
A lot of the projects, I want to say, are possible because of the county facility sales tax. For all the community members that worked to get that passed, I can thank them. So,
Is that it? All right, thank you. Freedom of Information Act request?
we did have two. Smart Procure, I think they're on a quarterly asking. They asked again, and we gave them our vendors and our products and our purchases information again. And then we had a second one from Athletico, a physical therapy, wanting to know about our district's athletic training. We've answered them both timely.
Very good. Okay, the Board of Education welcomes the audience to make public or employee comments. The board has set aside time in the agenda specifically for this purpose. Pursuant to Board Policy 2.230, each speaker shall be limited to a 5-minute presentation. Please be aware that while this is the time for the public to express its opinions and/or concerns, the board may or may not comment regarding public presentations. If a matter of public comment warrants discussion or action by the Board of Education, such discussion or action will be added to the agenda of a future meeting. Are there any public concerns? You've got a first grade teacher shirt on.
It's employee concern.
Yeah.
Can we do that now?
Well, I was gonna do public first.
That's why I didn't say anything yet. I was-
Just look down there.
All right, so no, we have no public concerns. Now, are there any employee concerns?
Yes, we have. Do you need my name, I guess?
We do need it for the record. If you're gonna speak.
Yes, my name is Allison Zavanda. I teach first grade at General John A. Logan. And we just have a concern for all of you. And it has been a concern for us, not just this year, not just this school year, but in the past years also. We understand that we're under a budget crunch, and we're not asking for any more than what anyone else would ask for. And we also understand, I've spoke to Mr. Grody multiple times, and he has probably gotten tired of seeing my face. But it's just a concern for us, and it's mostly basically about our numbers and the way that we're servicing our kids in our classrooms. So I'd like to read you a letter, just so you can hear our concern, and then I'll leave it with you. So my name is Allison Savanda. I'm a first grade teacher at General John A. Logan. I'm here tonight to speak to you on behalf of my first grade team. First of all, I would like you to make aware all the opportunities that you bring to us as teachers here in our district in 186. We numerously thank you for all that you do and support us in our students' educational needs here in Murphysboro. I'm here tonight to appeal to you for help. As all of you are already aware, we currently have 6 sections of first grade here at General John A. Logan. I would just like to present a few facts to you and ask for your support in the importance of possibly gaining 7 first grade sections at General John A. Logan. To begin the 17-18 school year, first grade alone has 24 students per classroom starting the school year out. With this many new first grade students plus new registers not being counted at this time, we the first grade teachers will remain at 24 students per classroom per caseload due to 7 sections of kindergarten coming into 6 sections of first grade, thus making a manageable caseload very hard for students at this age. Data proves that with a manageable caseload and extra support staff available to help, gains in the areas of both reading and math are proven. It is our concern at this time that even with extra support and team effort made, it will not be enough to prove positive student performance and educational gains with children at the first grade level. Has it not even been stated before by all of you that kindergarten through 2nd grade levels are the most important grade levels in a building? It's the building foundation for your child. Please understand that K2 sets a foundation for most students' educational careers. This is a crucial point in which students learn for the first time rules, routines, expectations, not only at a building level, but a classroom and students as well. First graders experience for the first time sitting at their very own desk, grades based upon their performance, managing time based upon their own ability. Kindergarten through 2nd builds a foundation in reading comprehension, reading fluency, phoneme segmentation, and word reading. This is just the beginning of the expectations we set forth to accomplish in our 5 to 7-year-olds. Math computation and math reasoning are 2 more educational standards we set to engage our students in. Statistics prove that our students are making gains in all of these areas in education due to the amount of effort and time that the teachers, reading specialists, title aides, and volunteer aides, classroom aides, and volunteer readers are putting forth in the classroom to accomplish these goals. However, without our adequate help, which would be adding another section of first grade, and possibly more classroom aides to help us, smaller, well-balanced class size to attain a foundation in reading and math, set forth high standards, and meet the Common Core standards of the state of Illinois that we're expected to meet, we will not be ready for the next grade level in 2nd grade. And our concern becomes we will not be able to meet or exceed the educational gains in a daily effort at a first grade section if it is not added. With all the above responsibility and expectation, it is imperative that we keep our numbers low and our case numbers down to ensure educational success in our 6 and 7-year-old kiddos. Wouldn't keeping the lower grade level numbers down in classrooms lower the amount of special education referrals in the upper grade levels? Also, just to note, 2nd grade has 7 sections moving into 6 of 3rd. What was your solution to that problem? You hired a 3rd grade. So, why is 1st grade any less important? We need this, people. Please hear our concern. We're taking on 7 sections of kindergartners, 5 and 6-year-olds coming into 6 sections of first with 25 students in every classroom. We need a section. Please consider and keep in mind hiring a 1st grade section is a full-time position. 1st grade along with support staff can possibly ensure each child has the best education that they deserve. In closing, let me reiterate to you the concern of the 1st grade teaching team at General John A. Logan, and they're here with me, thank you. Here are the things we will be compensating for this school year if we are not given a little extra help. Less staff, less support staff to administer instruction during the school day at a 1st grade level. Classroom caseloads will remain at 24 to 26 students without any new students registering from today's date all the way through the 17-18 school year. A 3rd grade section was added due to 7 sections of 2nd grade going into 6 sections of 3rd. Why is 1st grade not hired when we have 7 sections of kindergarten going into 6 and we are the educational foundation for these small children? Center-based learning activities having to be redesigned in our classroom due to normal small group size being 4 students. Now small group is considered 6 to 8 students and less teacher-led center-based activities. Less time for one-on-one student-teacher communication time. Also to note, 1st grade is the only grade level at General John A. Logan who does not have 7 sections. Kindergarten has 7, 2nd grade has 7, 1st grade has 6. It's been that way since we started. Teachers and evaluations. Teacher evaluation is tied to student performance now, guys. and concerned to do with this high number, we're concerned as classroom teachers. Ultimately, not adding a first grade section could have a negative impact upon student growth in our classroom. Please hear our concern and help us in any way that you possibly can. Thank you.
Hang on. So if I hear you correctly, you want us to hire another first grade
We
teacher?
would like for you to hire a first grade section!
I'm not done.
Yes, Mr. Rungy.
This is like a fifth daughter, so I can pick on her.
Yes, it is. He's like my family.
Just for all of us, because not all of us hear names, but we don't always put a face to a name. So can we start over here and you give the name,
My name is Brian Yokish.
okay?
Kelly Stroud. Gail Beckman. Emily Collier. And Carrie Coquist.
And Allison Savant.
And-
I'll help you out here.
Thank you, Mr. Cody.
Everybody knows Allison.
Unfortunately.
Are you gonna stay for the entire meeting?
Yes, I am.
All right.
I will be here.
Even after closed session?
Yes, sir.
It's bath night, so I'm not sure if I will.
So you'll be here for sure.
For you, or
You
the Every
All right.
Now, let me
This
ask
is on
this.
our radar.
Yes.
Because in the middle of all that, I heard you say add sections and aides. So your request is for both.
Okay, we would love to have both. Ideally, that would be a
Those are
perfect
shoot for the
scenario.
stock, right? Yeah.
The budget crisis and the way that we're under a crunch right now, ideally, a first grade section would be what we would like to see
Or
happen.
an aide.
So it was the option of a first grade section or 2 aides.
That would be a board decision.
I'm saying which would be
But
more helpful.
What would you guys prefer?
First grade teacher.
That's what we say.
Yeah.
We are all agreeing on that.
The way we stand right now, our class numbers are high and we're short 2 aides as well. from
Yeah,
last
because
school
one
year.
of our aides got hired for the kindergarten position, and the other aide was moved to second grade as a classroom aide for special ed. So we've lost 2 very important people that were with us all the time last year. And so this year, we're doing that all by ourselves.
Is there space to add one?
We have a room available.
There is, with Tri-County moved out a room, and that was one of the details. And it would actually be in the first grade hall. Mrs. Gahagan would, my understanding is Mrs. Gahagan would move over into the kindergarten wing, into the room that was vacated by the Reach. Is that correct, Carla? Yeah.
And
So-
then if funds were available to hire a first grade teacher, is that something you're wanting like immediately or at the beginning of next year?
We would wanna do it immediately, because let me just explain for just a second. The kids, as young as they are, when you take them away from their teacher, we're like their parent. So when you have them for a month or 2 and they become very close to you, and you remove them, that's devastating.
Right,
So
I
the
guess
best scenario would be do it right now, get it done, and let's get started.
The way
and
we
then you
did
would
it.
reconfigure the classrooms again?
Yes,
We would
and then
have
what
to.
happens is last year when we did them, we added a section, I would assume it'd be the same way. That teacher would then kind of have a pseudo open house where the
Mhm.
parents can then come in and re-meet her.
And how will you decide which, how you're going to, reassign teachers?
This is
Yeah.
Carla would be involved
That'd be
in
a
picking
Carla
the
question.
students from the thing, cause
Yeah.
really, when you get into the student growth section, the
I
key
would
thing is
actually-
you need to make sure the classes are balanced.
Right.
Yeah, I would look at, of course, boy, girl,
Mhm.
racial, diversity, and then the Ames Web,
Mhm.
sort of like what I did to put their classes together and make sure it was an even split.
Just because you might have parents very upset, so you have to be able to explain.
Right,
it
you would
was
have to-
dash
What I
them
did
and-
before, I called every single one of them, talked to them, and actually the last time we had to do it, it was okay.
That was last year, wasn't it? Or was it the
2
year
times,
before?
I've done it a couple times, 2 or 3 times.
What's the average amount of students per class right now?
I've got the handout, I'll be sharing it during the
24.
registration update.
24 to 25 right now,
So if you
Nah.
added another section, what would that?
18 to 19 probably.
Now I'm looking at the numbers that we got in the May meeting. And yeah, it was
2021.
24, 25, and your level 20s and 21s in second. And at that point, we kind of threw out, man, I'm gonna have enemies for this, but a second grade teacher moving to first grade? Cause that would put about 21 in first grade and 23 in second
But
grade.
then next year, you're gonna have the same problem.
Right, I mean, yeah, I understand the
That would-
yeah,
that's the only
merging
issue.
This
sections,
is-
I get that.
Can
It's
I
like a
say something on
reoccurring
that?
problem.
I think part of the problem with that is you have a teacher who can't get set in a grade.
No.
I have a second grade teacher right now who's moved from 5th to, I think, 3rd to 2nd, and he would have been the one to move again first. So if he's been there 4 years, I would have moved him 4 times. And with the evaluations and what the teachers have to do now, that is so hard on a teacher to move
Move a
that
level.
many times.
Okay.
They can't get set in the curriculum, because really the first year you're sort of playing it out a little and learning that curriculum, then, oh, I'm sorry, we're gonna move you again. And so that teacher can never get really good at that grade level. I think it's a disservice to the teachers.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that to our
Yeah.
attention, because we probably didn't know that was moved, that person was moved 4 times.
Yeah,
That's great.
it is.
I get it.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other employee concerns?
I'm Melinda Pearson. I've got 2 concerns. One, to just add on to what they said. I'm the school social worker at General Johnny Logan. Do I have to come in the center?
It helped.
I'm the school social worker at General Johnny Logan, so wearing my school social worker hat, I would only just add to everything that they said that might be interesting for you to know that the last time we had really high class size numbers was when Nancy Green, who was a kindergarten teacher, retired. And they decided not to replace her, and that next year we had, starting kindergarten, 25 in kindergarten, which is really a lot for kindergarten. I know those of you who were on the board, you struggled with that. But if you follow it, I know one of the bigger concerns last year was the number of special ed referrals for 3rd grade. Those were the kindergartners that were started in a class of 25. So it ends up costing us so much money in the long term. And more importantly than costing us money, it means we put those kids at a disadvantage from day one. That's the concern that I have about the 1st grade position. And for what it's worth, I would like to have aides and a 1st grade teacher, because those aides are boots on the ground for recess duty and making sure nobody is having trouble in the hallway and in the bathroom. And I mean, we really need those aides as well. Oh, yeah. So just for what it's worth, now I'm wearing my MEA hat. I'm also the vice president of the MEA. And I just wanted to say briefly, just for your information, I'm so glad that the grounds crew and the maintenance crew were publicly recognized. The buildings do look really good. Outsides look really good. I've been really pleased with it. The insides of our buildings also look really good. And the floors look great. And I mean, I couldn't say enough good things about at least our custodial staff in our building. But the other reason they look good, I thought about it as I was preparing for open house yesterday, putting up bulletin boards, and maintenance staff was coming in and out, and custodial staff was coming in and out, and if you went to either of the elementary schools from August 1st on, you would have seen a building full of teachers. They were all preparing their classrooms. They were all putting up bulletin boards. They were all doing the things that they needed to do to make sure that on open house, which for us was last night, all of those students and all those parents would come in and feel like we wanted them there. We wanted it to be welcoming, because in the middle of June, our building looks as welcoming as a North Korean labor camp. Like, it is not welcoming at all. So we worked really hard. And so it's great that everybody did that. But I was also thinking every year I'm surprised that comes together. The reason it came together was not only for the maintenance staff and the custodial staff that did so much work, but for the teachers that had been there all summer for free, because they're not getting paid for that. And if you're wanting an open house on August 14th, and we have meetings all day on the first day we're getting paid, there's absolutely no way a building can be ready unless you're gonna have people work for free. And building that into the schedule means you are building in that you're expecting your teachers to work for free. The alternative would be having parents come for open house and say, can you help me unpack this box? Can you help me get these science textbooks into lockers? Can you help me put names on desks? Can you help put this stuff on the wall? That wouldn't be welcoming for the parents. It wouldn't get little kids excited about school. So I don't know how many of those maintenance staff and the custodial staff that were working all summer to make the buildings look good would have been doing it for free, but I'm guessing it isn't as many that are sitting behind me right now. So I know we often get thanks for that. We get thanks from board members for that. We get thanks from parents for that. But as we're building next year's schedule, that needs to be something that's thought about, that if we're gonna make it an August 14th start date or an August 14th or first day open house, which I think it should be. Our kids need to meet their teachers before they come in for the first day. We need to do something to build in paying these people for their time, because it's not fair to just expect that they're gonna work at least a week to get a classroom ready and a building ready. That's it.
Thank you. Any other employee concerns?
I just have one. Actually, it's not even a concern. She stole my feather. Carla Ayler's the principal, and I wanted to actually, and I actually put my notes down, I wanted to publicly acknowledge the hard work my staff did. Aides, teachers, custodial, cooks, got that building ready. And yes, you're right, that's what it looked like in June, because I was there. But I tell you what, they worked so hard, and it looked so nice last night. We had a lot of parents there, bulletin boards were up, floors looked shiny, and all these teachers, and the ones that aren't here, were there for weeks, trying to get things ready. But I wanted you guys to know, that I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think any of us that drive by the buildings see the cars and understand that not only do we have a good staff, but they go the extra mile. We understand it, we appreciate it. In an ideal world, yeah, we could do a lot more, but thank you for all that you all do. Any other employee concerns? Okay, let's move into old business. Mr. Grody, a financial update.
Call your house member. I mean, I can go on and on about all the things that we've discussed. At this point in time, we need you to call your house member and say that you'll support the Senate Bill 1. The veto needs to be overridden.
Any questions from the board? I think it's been I think we're all pretty much aware where we're at. It's pretty dire right now. So, okay, summer project maintenance updates.
Believe that all the summer projects and the maintenance are all done except for the General John A. Logan bricks. Those were, last I checked, still being laid. So that is the last of the summer projects, and we have school tomorrow. We will be ready for the Kaylee Hoops tomorrow. Looking forward to them. So.
Very good. Any questions from the board? Registration updates.
Pass them down.
I'm going to assume that we're going to see high numbers in first grade.
Yes. First grade and fifth grade are the two grades that you'll see high numbers in. I think really as a district, our goal should be in fact to have 7 sections of K1, 2 and 6 sections of 3rd, 4th, 5th. Fifth grade right now has high sections because they're down to 5 teachers. We do have the 7 sections in 3rd grade. Looking at the situation right now, hiring a first grade teacher will be discussed in closed session, and the recommendation will be made for that. Knowing that the 3rd grade extra person, I think over the course of the next 3 years needs to be moved until we have them down in 5th grade, where we have 3 sections of 7 sections for K1, 2, and 6 for 3rd, 4th, 5th. I do want to say, just so that we are aware of all the other things, we do not have a certified ESL, ELL teacher. We haven't had one, and we've gotten exemptions from the state regarding that grant because of our lack of having a certified person to hire. You can post it, you just hard to find. We do have an individual, an aide that works at the high school. He's bilingual. He has his doctorate in linguistics, and he worked over the summer to get certified. He finds out this week, I believe, from the state as to whether or not he got his certification. If he is certified, I would say we were gonna need to hire him. And that's one of those things where you have to have that position based on the grant. We also do need those aides. We are down 2 at the general. And then there's also nursing needs. Right now, we have a lot of students that have diabetic concerns and other health concerns, and we've got one school nurse, well, 1.5 that kind of are the school nurses. We have 2 school nurses, one that's a school nurse all day, and one that spends the morning doing the CNA class at the high school, and then the other half is kind of the school nurse position. The general K1, 2, there's a lot of little guys in the office. We've also got some diabetics that need a little bit more care than others, and so we're looking into those needs as well. I'm just saying that because as I look at the district, those are the needs that we have. But I would argue that we do need that 7th section of first grade, and we'll, I'm sure, discuss that more before we come out of closed session. Questions, concerns, comments on any of that?
Okay.
I will add one last thing. If we call and we get Senate Bill 1, we will be on our way to starting to build back all the way up to the nice middle school schedule that we had in the past as well. So that financial update, I don't mean to minimize it by saying call your House members, but that's where we're at. Bottom line, call your House members.
Not the Senate members, just the House.
Senate already overrode the
Yeah,
veto.
overrode it. Yep, it's the House.
It's the House.
If you need her number or email, let me know.
Yeah.
Because I have.
I have it too.
Thank you.
A Google search can provide a lot of information.
That it?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's move into new business. Need to approve fundraising.
Yeah, this is those yearly things. Illinois State Board requires the board approval for the school organizations whenever they anticipate to be over $1,000. As of this writing, the following are being submitted for board approval: Carruthers and the General Paragon Promotions. That's the recommendation.
Any questions from the board? Entertain a motion to approve the recommendation from administration on the approval to fundraise. Second? Get it?
There was a lot to choose from. I-
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Second item under new business is approved salary and compensation report, enclosure number 1 in your packet.
This is a yearly action. Public Act 969434 requires that you guys review, approve the compensation report, and if you approve it today, I will get it on the website tomorrow. Recommendations for your approval.
For the recommendation from administration, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, District 186 tentative fiscal year 2018 budget.
I'm going to
James.
pass around, I know you already have one at your place, but for some reason, the revenue pages did not print,
Oh.
the detailed revenue pages, so it's kind of thin, you might want those. So this is just, putting it on display until the September board meeting and budget hearing. Kinda hard to put together this year. So many unknowns. We did get a, categorical payment for special ed and transportation this week, so that was promising. I did only budget 3 this year, so if by miracles of all miracles, we get 4 payments, things will be way better than that. Not knowing what our general state aid will be, you know, typically I do my general state aid claim, I know exactly what our payments are going to be. I have no idea without, if Senate Bill 1 doesn't get overridden, have no idea.
Nobody
So,
does.
it's an interesting number that I
Senate
put
Bill
in
1
there.
doesn't get overridden, it might be 0.
Right.
True.
You've already missed
True.
one, right?
Yeah,
Right.
we've already missed our first
Right.
payment.
And we
Just so the
won't.
audience knows, that was $400,000.
Yeah. We, last year we received $8.8 million in general state aid, and we received that over 22 payments, and we missed our first one, and timeline now, we'll miss our second one. We won't see money until, you know, if the vote happened tomorrow, we wouldn't see any money until September.
Okay.
So,
There's 800,000 for August.
yeah, 800,000 for August. So we are getting into our reserves, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but, there could potentially be changes in this budget, and require an amendment later on, because there are, you know, I tried to hit expenditures where I could, but knowing some of these things were out here, you know, first grade teacher, the bilingual teacher, some of the other things that we've talked about, additional aids, you know, could change that substantially. But, it's very close to a balanced budget. That's because I picked a number for general state aid that I'm hoping for. So, otherwise, we would be deficit spending significantly. Now, if we get some numbers before our September meeting, I will bring to you a revised, and we can do that. So what I present to you at the September meeting will be hopefully.
We're gonna know something.
Hopefully a better picture, yeah.
We will know something.
Yeah, it could be really, really, really bad news, it could be really good news, so, anyway, you have the budget. If you have any questions as you're kind of taking a look at it, let me know. Otherwise, we will spend time going through this at the September meeting.
And your recommendation then is for the budget hearing?
Yes.
Second hearing?
At 6:15 on the, is it 19th?
September the 19th at 6:15. So you've heard the recommendation from Jan on setting the budget hearing. I will entertain a motion to approve that.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll be here at 6:15 on the 19th. All right. This is probably the big one.
Take one, pass it down.
We need to approve the bids for the Murphysboro High School Center for Performing Arts.
Mr.
Or Mrs.
Seifert
White's
is-
classroom.
Mr. Seifert is here to answer any questions about this. However, we had 4 companies that came for the pre-construction bid meeting, so there was 4 eligible bidders. Ross Construction backed out, so we got opened the bids this morning from Fager McGee Construction, River City Construction, and Samron Construction. Fager McGee had the lowest base bid of $6,977,000. That was a $52,000 differential from the second bidder, which would have been Samron. And then we also had the numbers for the alternate bid, which are $559,000, and that would be those 4 classrooms, 3 classrooms and 1 performance, the music rooms, the practice rooms, the one classroom that's got a bunch of little parts on it.
What was the budget exactly?
Our estimated budget for this was around $7 million. wasn't it?
Now, was that before we pulled some of the stuff out? I know
That was before we pulled out some of the stuff, yes.
Pulled out, yeah.
Pulled out what?
the
We pulled
sound-
out the sound system. The sound system's
Yeah,
going to be a
sound.
separate bid. We found that we could do it more appropriately without having to have all the different fingers in the pockets.
And then what was, remember what that was? Original, what was the original amount in the 7 million that was accounted for sound?
We had an estimated amount of about 300,000 in there, but I think the actual number.
That was for sound and lights, wasn't it? That was-
Sounded like it.
So once you take that out, 6.8 million is close to what that would have been compared to where these bids are here.
Pretty close, yeah.
One of the things, and we talked about the bid being close to what we estimated, and the tectum panels, the roof, no,
The actual ceiling reflector panels,
ceiling reflector panels.
we got word that you guys can probably help me out with this, but there's one contractor that can do those, and the price that we saw at Marion
Went up
was
considerably.
about 3 times less than what it was on this project. Exact same thing. We don't know why. I can't explain that.
What was the time frame on that, Jim? When did they do theirs?
A year ago.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's about right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a number we couldn't account for.
The,
Have we talked to them? I mean, did they?
No, we have not. I will be doing that in the next few days.
At this point, you've got 3 numbers in front of you. The recommendation from administration is that we go with the lowest bidder that they are responsible, Fager McGee Construction, for the base bid of $6,977,000. As much as I would like to have the additional classrooms, you're not gonna get those additional classrooms any cheaper than what you can get them now with this job being done. We probably don't really need those extra classrooms until this bubble that's currently at the general rolls up. If I could add classrooms to this district, I'd want them at the general right now, the most. But there's that whole $559,000 for the alternate bid. Would get us those classrooms, it would get us those practice rooms, but I don't know if that's where we wanna put $559,000 right now.
Tell me why we have to do 4. I mean, why can't we just do a practice room somewhere on that auditorium? Why do we need classrooms in this? Is my bottom line question. I mean, is there a reason
I
we
guess
just can't get us a practice room on that auditorium? I mean, I get where we're at it, you might as well keep building. But we don't need to keep building if we're not gonna use it.
You could possibly add it to it. It would look, like a better term, funky, because it'd just be a
Thing
little
sticking
pimple
out.
on the end of the school. And And to make it symmetric, one reason we added 4 classrooms.
Technically, right now, the recommendations to award the bid to Fager McGee Construction, correct? So do we need to lock in on the decision on the alternate bid at this time? This is my first big construction project. I did talk with Dr. Oates on several times because they were doing the Marion job, and it's the whole process is a little bit.
What'd you find out about
From
the
our
lighting?
questions today.
That their lighting is probably more than they really need, and so we're probably gonna need to look at our lighting, but their change orders, he couldn't really tell you how much was the difference, cause what they did was they did that whole wing in one phase, and so there was a lot more project than just the auditorium when he was looking at that phase of that project.
Jim, the
So-
question we had is I had a couple calls in between last meeting and this meeting about the lighting package was well overkill for a high school auditorium, very complicated and a lot more than we needed to
Well,
spend on
the
lighting.
board as well, because I got some comments.
Well, to answer that question, when we designed Marion, I'm gonna go right to there first. That's what they asked for.
Right.
And we wanted to give you the same level that they had. So we kept it the same. Can we make a change after you award it? Yes. But
And
we
that's
don't-
where my question is change orders to the base bid are common, and they can go up and down and all over. An alternate bid, does it need to be agreed to here, or could there be a design element where, like what Christy asked, where we don't do the 4 classrooms, but we find
There's some procurement laws that you'd have to check with Jackstat on, because that's a redesign. They'd probably tell you you'd have to go back out for bid.
Okay.
If you redesign it. And that by taking classrooms away, it'd be a redesign.
Is there
Can't
crowd-
negotiate, that's against procurement law.
Is there any crowding now, a reason why you would need those classrooms, or you just want, just while we were doing it? I mean, is there any real need?
Tony's not here, is he?
Yeah.
No, there he is. Sorry, I was.
In the same spot.
He's
He's
quiet.
always in.
No, I think to answer it, then I'm gonna turn it over to Tony to talk specific at the high school. Right now, the crowding that we have in the district, in my opinion, is at the elementary level. And in the kindergarten class is actually the class of 2030, believe it or not. And so when those kids get up to the high school level, provided that they don't leave us, that's gonna be the bubble that kinda goes through. So, when I look at crowding, I kinda look at it from a more holistic, larger perspective. Right now in your building, how is it?
I'll say, I did spend years as a first grade teacher, so I have tons of respect for first grade teachers. And it's not like comparing apples.
Are you
It's really
applying?
not an apples to oranges comparison, because I could sit here and tell you, well, I've got classes of 35, but 35 17-year-olds is a far cry from 25 7-year-olds, so it's not. 6-year-olds. Plus you gotta help back, right? It's just not a fair comparison. I mean, I can tell you, we're almost 700 kids this year. I've got tons of classes of 30s and busting out the seams, but it's in no way, shape, or form am I saying that that's a bigger concern than 25 6-year-olds, because I can completely get on board with where they're at, but we are busting out the seams.
How many, for the class size, how much of that is because of the amount of teachers versus the amount of classrooms? How many
Right.
vacant rooms do we have right now?
I have none.
Okay.
Okay, but
I have, I mean, and even, it's gonna get even tighter with the front office construction, because, I mean, we've got multiple people sharing rooms. When you got your prep, I'm taking your room, kicking you out, making you teach somewhere. I mean, we're squeezed pretty tight. And that's just, I mean, in the last 5 years since, let's see, this is my 6th year. In the last 6 years, we've added 160 kids to that building, and we're probably 4 or 5 teachers shorter than we were 6 years ago, before reasons out of all our control, you know, people in this room and whatnot. It's just, I mean, we're squeezed tight everywhere. But it, you know.
But to make use of another classroom, we're talking about not taking a teacher from somewhere who's doing nothing and teaching them, we're talking
No,
about
I
filling
mean,
the classroom
I've got
and
a
hiring
teacher in
that
every single
teacher
room
for
right
that.
now. Every room's accounted for, every period of the
Right,
day.
but I'm not saying, yes, we're overcrowded, but to solve that problem means we're hiring more teachers, and if
I mean,
that's not in
yeah, I
our
mean, that's,
cards
I
right
don't,
now.
I don't necessarily have, you know, if we had 4 more classrooms, yeah, it would be very nice to have,
Right.
a couple teachers to go with those
teach whatever.
classrooms. I can tell you that those numbers are gonna get higher. I mean, we just took in 180-ish freshmen, we've got 180 some odd juniors. I mean, the numbers are gonna continue to grow a little bit.
Let me ask, what about, I mean, I know that there are staff who share offices.
Sure.
If we had this big classroom, could they at least be sharing a classroom-sized room instead of a closet-sized room?
Right, I mean, we've got it organized now to where I only have 2 teachers sharing a classroom right now. I mean, everybody has their own room. I have 2 people that are doubled up right now. So I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Okay.
Everybody has their own space, their own classroom, except for 2 people who share, and we just have to make the schedule work to where they're, you know, out as needed, but.
What's your enrollment?
Roughly 668, 670. I mean, I don't have final numbers. We were still taking in
What was it when the school was built?
probably over 12 or
700,
1,500.
I think.
How much?
I think it was over 700.
Oh, I mean, you know, I hear stories. I've got teachers who've been there 20 years that can
Mr.
remember.
Navarro, how many students were in the school whenever you graduated? I forget when you graduated, it was mid-80s, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 1,138.
In the high school?
1,138, he's, give
Yeah.
or take,
Yeah, about.
you know, it's a round number, 37.5.
There's many people that'll tell you that we had well over 1,000.
Okay, I didn't realize that the delta was that big.
I graduated in '92, and it was 950 at that time.
Okay, then as Mr. Green said,
Kids were a lot smaller back then too. They were about the size of a lot of these 6 and 7-year-olds. You know, it's.
well, I guess the question is, it worked back then, and we're half the size now, not quite, but.
I'm not saying it doesn't work right now, but it could be better.
What was did we ever get a final number on the insurance claim?
We're looking at 3.5 to 4. We're still trying to get a bathroom letter.
So.
Didn't they first offer us 4.5?
That was our estimate.
Mr. Young,
Initial one?
can I just piggyback off that last comment real quick?
Which
Just
one?
Mind you, in the last, I don't know how long ago you graduated, I'll just say 12 years ago. You know, requirements in the number of classes that we have to offer do play
Sure.
a direct role.
Sure.
In the number of sections, periods. I wish it were as simple as, you know, you only need 12 basic classes and 22 credits to graduate high school, but the fact that, you know, they need 4 years of this, 3 years of this, 2 of this many electives, and some of the other things that we need to offer to, you know, try to cater to kids post-high school, that does play a huge role in, you know, class sizes, number of classrooms used, sections offered. I mean, there's many things that go into it that change year to year.
No, I get it, and I think the difficulty with the board is we have to balance the needs of the other buildings as well.
And that's why the first thing I said was I have no right to sit up here and have an issue with 34, 35 kids in a class, because I will tell you that 25 in a first grade class is more concerned than 34 in a high school senior class. I mean, so that's, I'm not, yeah.
Any other questions from the board? I'm assuming that we have, go ahead, Jim.
Well, I was just gonna make a quick statement. Mr. Grody mentioned about holding alternate bid if you guys choose to do it at a later date. I think they can hold it for, I think by contract, they have to hold it for 30 days. So, and it doesn't slow them down on the big part, because it's basically a completely separate structure. So if you guys would decide the next board meeting you want to award it, it could be done at that time.
Okay. Thank you. We've got two people here from, or 3 people, how many people here from Fager McGee? 2 of you. Does the board have any questions of them?
I don't know. At this point, we can ask them questions after we award them the bid.
Oh.
But right now, we've got
We
them
can't.
as represented the lowest bidder, and then once they become our, construction person, they can come back next month and we can ask them specific questions about the job. But right now, we're not negotiating with them, we've
No,
had a
no, that's-
bid and, so,
Got it.
right now, the recommendation's to do Fager McGee for the base bid, and then I would say that we can kick the can and look at the alternate bid.
Well, if it's 30 days, our next meeting's after 30 days from
Right.
today, so.
We have to have a special meeting.
I mean, right now, I have a hard time saying 560,000. If we're looking at 560,000 today, yes, it's gonna be more later, but
Right.
that's negligible in the grand scheme of things. And I don't think it's a must right now. I agree that having the practice room would be great if there's no way of making it happen now underneath the structure that is planned. Just
What I'm hearing you
reach it,
say is the base bid is really,
in my opinion.
I mean, I agree with him that it makes no sense to spend half a million on rooms we're not sure we need. And in the same breath, I'm gonna say, I can't imagine building something this big without practice rooms. To me, that's like mind blowing. I mean, I just can't conceive we don't have room or we can't put in practice warm-up rooms, whatever you wanna call it.
See, and for me, if we're gonna do it, I would rather them be classrooms that could be used for more than just practice rooms.
Yeah, but you would use a practice room throughout the whole day. And I think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I would say there's a need for that right now. We don't have practice rooms in the high school anywhere, do we? But I guess the question is if it's not, if that's not the alternate bid, that's not what we're here to vote on, so. I guess I really don't know what I'm saying other than,
But wasn't
I can't
there
believe we don't have a practice room.
in the base bid that they could use to
say that again?
practice in? I said on the one plan we looked at, I thought there was some dual-purpose space that we.
We were gonna take one of the four and make it a practice room.
Is the band using that space as well?
No, they still have that room down at the end.
He doesn't want to move anyway, it's more convenient there,
The,
from our understanding was.
for the marching.
trucks to get in and out.
But I mean, I guess if we're saying if we're busting at the seams, but then we're gonna build 4 classrooms, but they're only gonna be used for singing, I mean, that.
No, there was
No.
one.
No,
not all
one
four.
out of the four would be a practice.
There'd be 3 regular classrooms.
All right.
But there wasn't an alternate, I must have misunderstood something, I thought there was one in the current base.
In the
bid.
original design, we had a practice room set into the original design, but then when we reduced the size of it, that got moved out and it became storage.
Okay, I knew I wasn't crazy, I knew there was some bids there.
Any other comments from the board? Well, you've heard the recommendation from administration to accept the low base bid of Fager McGee for the reconstruction of the auditorium or the Performing Arts Center or Mrs. White's classroom, whichever you want to call it. I will entertain a motion for that.
I'll move.
And a second.
I'll second.
Nancy?
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mrs. James?
Yes.
Mrs. Dorr?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Corley?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes. Congratulations to all. Thank you. Okay.
Now that we have that agreement.
I'm sorry?
Next item,
Yes?
resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation alternate revenue bonds and an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $8 million for the purpose of altering, repairing, and equipping the Murphysboro High School building and equipping a Performing Arts Center as an addition thereto and improving the site thereof. And so, we wrote this for $8 million because we didn't know where the bids were gonna really be coming in at. There are other things above and beyond this that do need to happen, like the switchgear and the, other things at the high school. So the recommendation is to do the principal amount not up to the $8 million amount. but we won't be doing
Right.
the full 8 million.
And by the time we get to the point, we'll have to have a bond hearing, a bond hearing in September, and then October will be the time to sell bonds, and we'll hopefully have more information from insurance, so we'll have a tighter number to know what the exact bond amount should be. We can always, sell less than, way less than the 8 million, but
Right.
if we went with a lower number on the resolution, we would have to start the process all over again,
Did I hear you correctly? You said we have a bond hearing in September? Would that be in addition to the budget hearing, or did you say was September wrong? I misheard that.
No, the timeline, I believe, is to do the binding hearing in September.
Okay.
So we would need to move that back, and have it before we do the budget hearing.
So the same night?
Did you get a note of that, Nancy?
It would have to be, yes, but not the same night. You want the same night?
Yeah.
Okay.
If possible.
So 6 o'clock or?
6:15 is still good?
Can you do them separate? Gotta be separate.
6:15 is the budget hearing, so we need
So
one at
6 o'clock.
6.
So 6, okay.
And so the bond hearing is specifically to approve a final amount? What's the legal reason we have to have another?
We have to have, that's just the requirement as part of the alternate revenue bonds, is that you have a hearing before you sell the bonds, so they happen a month apart, so it's a 3-month process to actually sell the
So
bonds.
we approve doing it, we have a hearing to sell them, 2 separate
A
steps.
hearing and then sell in October, so it's a 3.
And that's when you'll have the final number.
Right.
October.
And will we have the final number from the insurance company by then too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We've got till
Really
Friday
have
to get
to.
the washroom letter issue resolved, and that's the only outstanding issue, so.
Okay, so I have one question. The way this recommendation is written, I wanna make sure we're talking about, this is for the auditorium and other things at the high school, right?
The way this works is it's only for the high school. If something were to happen and we had a little bit of money left over, we had $75,100 left over after we sell the bonds, that would enable us to use that on a project at the high school. Not across the district, but it's very specific to the high school. So that's kind of why, instead of just saying, just for the Performing Arts Center, and also keeping in mind that we're also doing a renovation to the office space for security purposes.
But that's what I
in
mean,
the building.
this
So that's
proposal
why.
covers everything.
Yes.
This
Encompasses
is
everything,
not
because there's
just-
also electrical upgrades too.
That's all I needed.
And it would cover the switch gear that
Okay.
we will be, bidding potentially in October.
Yeah, we look to have board approval in October on that.
So it will cover all those projects, the bond sale, whatever we need after we finally know what our insurance proceeds are going to look like.
All right, so do you need to amend your recommendation to change the time for the bond hearing?
We're not, I don't think we're actually setting a date for the bond hearing here.
I thought we were doing it.
Thought we had to.
No, we're,
No, you don't have to.
I mean, that's
we'll
not
set
like
the date for the
additional
bond
action.
hearing. We're just agreeing on
Okay.
that right now, so,
Alright.
yeah. This is just the resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation.
We had to send the agenda to both our, bonding firm, to Stiefel and to, Chapman Keller Legal, to make sure that we had everything correctly in here, so we're doing this by the book.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? It was clear as mud.
Apologies.
You will be notified of the meeting.
Yes.
All right, so we've got a recommendation from the board. I'm not gonna repeat it, you've heard it. I will entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
And we need a second.
Second.
Nancy?
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Corley?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. James?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mrs. Dorr?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes. Motion approved. Next item.
Interfund loans, working cash, operations and maintenance, and transportations to the ed fund. This is, I guess getting ready for Armageddon, financial edit. Just due to the uncertainties, we're asking for permission to start sweeping some funds, revenues into the ed fund.
In essence, we're just moving the needle as far down the road as we can.
Absolutely.
And these would just be loans at this point and will be repaid, assuming we get our general state aid. Once those state aid dollars are are received by the district, we would then replace that and repay those, O&M, transportation, and working cash fund loans, or just temporary loans. And this should get us through the October 3rd payroll. And after that, then we're going to the next agenda
Item number 7.
Yeah, but we are to the point where, tax bills, property tax bills haven't gone out yet, but I expect them to go out soon, and, I mean, those deadlines they're gonna hit very, very close. I don't know when the first due date will be, but last year our first payment, and I think, what did I tell you, we received about $2.5 million in the education fund, October 4th last year, from that first tax payment.
Didn't she say mid-October? At that, when
Actually,
she's at
kinda
town hall?
slow.
I think she said mid-October though, when she was at that meeting, the other night.
They're always slower with that.
So it's,
Okay, so the recommendation is the transferring of the funds as presented. I will entertain a motion to approve.
I'll motion.
Second. Nancy?
Mrs. Dorr? Yes. Mrs. Miller?
Yes. Yes.
I'm sorry, okay. Mrs. James?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Dr. Corley?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, all right. Item number 7.
As Jan pointed out, that, this got us through September 3rd, October 3rd payroll. Authorization to obtain a line.
That's just with the transferring of money,
That's with the
provided we
transferring of
get
the money.
nothing from the state.
Right.
Just wanna make sure everybody's understanding on
Yes.
this.
And so now what we're asking is authorization to start getting that line of credit from local banks and/or tax anticipation warrants. This is in case the property taxes do not come. This is going to allow us to start borrowing against our property taxes, so we can go a little bit farther down that road.
How farther?
Yeah.
How much?
Yes.
Pardon?
How much
So you get,
farther
if
are
you
we
get,
borrowing?
if you get your property tax revenue, you mentioned last year was 2.5 million roughly.
That's the first payment.
That was the first payment. That takes us then how much further down the road?
2 months,
So now we're into December the 3rd.
and that's our first payment. Then we'll receive another property tax payment in November. So, November, December, whenever we get that payment, so.
And now, is that the same amount?
No, it's a little lower, cause I'm gonna say 4.4 million. We get it about 3 payments, cause they give you 2 big bumps, and then you get a smaller, the catch-up payment later, the late payment. So probably close, 3 payrolls beyond that, so. we're
Beyond
getting past
December 3rd?
We're past the first of the year with property taxes.
3 payments, 3 payroll
3
payments
payrolls.
beyond December the 3rd?
Right.
So that gets us into March.
In January,
No, in
February.
February,
Like
it'd be February.
Without any state aid.
And
that's
without the
just payroll.
borrowing.
Well, see, that's payroll, we would need a little bit more
I
to
mean, if
cover
we
our
borrow,
board
how
bills
far are
each
we
month.
going? If we borrow, is what I'm saying.
It depends on when the repayment is on those property taxes, I believe, we have some time on that, and what did we say, 75 or 80% of our, property tax, anticipated property taxes is what we could borrow in tax anticipation warrants.
75.
So we could get a little over 3 million there, so.
The key question here, and this is where, we are in somewhat of uncharted territory, so we've never done TAWs before. And so, we're asking permission to do them, worst case scenario. Anybody that's listening to this and thinking, oh, good, I'm here in February, that's much better. Call your legislature.
Yeah.
So don't be thinking anything other than that, but it's,
And I
because
just
the
look-
problem is if we do
Well, we have to know
TAWs.
that, we have to know that
Right.
figure,
Right.
that drop dead figure, or that date.
And we
at
have
that
to, incur interest payments, and
Sure.
we're
Right.
spending money, and if we don't have to do that, we don't wanna do that, because that's money you could spend on a teacher or an aide,
So,
so.
And that's what I looked at, I know last year, and I know we go through a process, but we were roughly around 2%, I think.
Yeah.
Interest. Probably the lowest, 2.75, to the highest of 3.75. So I mean, you're looking at,
Line of credit?
yeah, your interest, if you borrow. So I mean, even if we're able to do a low end on a 3 million loan at 2.75, and we go out 60 days, that's 13,000, 561.64.
Yeah.
And that's,
well,
and that's because of the state interest in the last year, I mean, that's and that's low end 2.75. I mean, that's how it credit ratings and not sure when you're gonna get taxes does to your borrowing and your interest.
So 2.75 on line of credit, what do we lose on a tax anticipation warrant?
What do we lose?
What do we lose? What do we pay on a tax anticipation warrant?
I don't know we haven't even started entertaining that yet.
I mean,
What we
it's-
typically do is, talk to the local banks and what are our costs gonna be, we didn't get that far last summer. We got permission from the board to start exploring that, and then the budget came, so.
If I'm looking to write a tax anticipation warrant, it's basically you're going out and getting a loan from the bank.
Right.
Which they'll
But
charge
it's,
you.
at least it's, against something that's
It's
a
coming in.
guaranteed payment.
Right.
So I'm assuming it's.
It's
gonna be
still a
less.
higher, that's probably still around 2.75, because with the state, it's still a higher risk than, you can look at credit ratings, and our credit rating sucks.
Call J.G. Wentworth, that's what they say.
Yeah. It's like
All
going
right,
and
so-
buying a car when you got bankruptcy.
The recommendation is to give administration the authorization to obtain the line of credit. That's all we're doing right
We'll be
now.
back.
I have a question now.
We'll be back next month for board permission to move forward or to.
Man, we're gonna know.
to deal
We're gonna
with
know
it.
next
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
Mrs. Dorr.
At that town hall, they mentioned, making sure that there was money set aside for, pension payments if we have to close. Insurance, all of that, so has that been done,
That will be part of that,
that loan? Or that-
looking at how far we can go without state money, and what those TAWs, how far that will go, and yeah, that will be part of that, cause when I looked at where we could go to October 3rd payroll, that's including board bills as well, that's including our health insurance obligations, that's including, TRS payments, IMRF payments, so that's all, I include that as all part of payroll, they're October 3rd, and, a reasonable amount of board bills, so there will be things that we don't do until we, some things we're gonna have to.
And unemployment?
Yeah, yeah, that's, oh yeah.
Unemployment, so, they
So I-
covered unemployment, okay.
Okay, right now we're just giving permission to start this process. Do we have to give permission to actually pull the trigger, and you have to give us a dollar amount first?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what you,
The key thing that I don't know how to answer is, how do you stop, they get 24 pays. So how do you stop paying them but still have money that goes toward all those other things for those that, you're looking at the insurance payments, so how do you stop doing the payroll but still covering their benefits? It would be, that'd be a violation of the contract, really. And so we're gonna need to have some understandings of this and some further discussions, cause
well, I think the thing that we don't want to happen is any of our employees to not have health insurance.
Right.
Period, bottom line.
We're paycheck.
Yeah, like we
Right.
have a roof and
Yeah.
all that too.
Not get that.
it's really though, and I can't stress this enough, it's uncharted waters to the point of, like at the university, they've had the practice of doing furlough days before. And so really, is that what we're talking about, furlough days? And if we are talking about furlough days, what do? Do you limit the 185 days of school, or, how do you, cause furlough days are days they don't come in. So it's,
Mr. Grody showed yesterday at our, breakfast orientation, the map of Illinois and the adequacy map on the adequacy model and all the counties that fall under adequacy. Those are all the counties, they're all the schools that are in the same boat that we are. Few might have a little bit more in reserves, there are many that have much less than we do, that are already borrowing now, that are already in TAWs now. So call your legislator, encourage everyone you know in other districts to call their legislator, because the fix has to happen, has to.
That's a point where no matter what you wanna do, if the account's at zero, you can write a check, but if it doesn't clear, it's.
Any other questions of Jan? All right. The recommendation is for the authorization to obtain a credit line from local banks for the tax anticipation warrants. I will entertain a motion for that. So moved. And a second. Annette?
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. James?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Dr. Corley?
Yes.
Mrs. Dorr?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries. All right, we need to go into closed session.
Make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to section 2 of the Open Meetings Act 5, Illinois compiled statutes 122C, to review the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee to determine its validity.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller? Yes. Dr. Corey?
Yes.
Mrs. Dorr? Yes. Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. James?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes, motion carries.